Chosen one, financial dominion is shifting to your hands. The atmosphere around you is thick with invisible agreements that have been rewritten in your favor. Whenever you breathe, you inhale fresh authority over resources that once felt distant. Your palms may look the same, but the signatures of possibility across them are glowing brighter than gold leaf. Assets, opportunities, profitable alliances, these elements are already repositioning themselves, compelled by a gravitational pull centered on your essence. Every former restriction has been quietly revoked. Every gate you once rattled is now eager to swing open. Picture a chessboard where every piece that moves unexpectedly advances your cause, because the cosmic strategist overseeing the board has declared you indispensable. Before we begin, I want you to do something powerful, something that activates this message in your life. If you're ready to receive the abundance that's aligning for you, if your spirit knows that financial dominion is shifting to your hands, then I invite you to comment below with your warmest wish for your future and type the number 99, the number of fulfilled purpose, divine completion, and unstoppable movement. Let the universe feel your intention. Let your voice echo in this space. Let your comment be your confirmation. And if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now, because the journey you've stepped into is only just beginning. This space is your home for divine reminders, powerful breakthroughs, and high-frequency transformation. Hit that subscribe button and become part of a community that's rising together. Inside you lives a treasury of insight that can decode cycles, predict market rhythms, and sense hidden seams of value before they appear to ordinary sight. This is not guesswork or hope. It is a refined, intuitive arithmetic engraving instructions on the inside of your thoughts. You feel it when you wake. Ideas arrive as if spoken in a tongue composed of stock tickers, real estate parcels, and limitless credit lines. The code of prosperity is now your native language, and every sentence you speak translates into a directive for revenue to locate you. Abundance is no longer an occasional visitor, but permanent family moving its wardrobe into your house. Visualize an infinite ledger in which every credit column is tethered to your vision, every debit column erased by mercy before it can even appear. Bills that used to announce themselves with dread now vanish like morning mist, because channels of overflow reroute themselves to meet them before you lift a finger. What you once called budgeting becomes an art of distribution rather than mere survival, an orchestration of generosity toward projects, people, and purposes that mirror your heart. The sovereignty flowing toward you is not limited to currency. It envelops networks, technological leverage, and silent partners who have been awaiting a signal to stand beside you. In conference rooms you have never entered, your name is already penciled into agendas under critical stakeholder. Emails you have not yet sent are receiving enthusiastic replies drafted in advance. Your digital footprint expands into a runway of introductions, each one stamped with goodwill and open-ended possibilities. The algorithms of influence are re-ranking themselves so that your message rises to the top by natural right. Let your perception adjust to this altitude. There is no ceiling, only skylights. Investments multiply while you sleep, because your rest is recognized by the cosmos as a vote of confidence in the unseen mechanics of multiplication. Interest compounds in more dimensions than finance alone. Wisdom accrues, relationships appreciate in value, and inspiration earns dividends whenever you speak it aloud. Every conversation becomes a negotiation you are destined to win, not by force, but by evident favor. The handshake you offer contains invisible clauses guaranteeing mutual uplift, so even skeptics sense something radiant and choose trust over hesitation. Recall moments when scarcity tried to tutor you in fear. Notice how those lessons evaporate as quickly as chalk dust beneath a cleansing rain. The memories remain, but only as contrast to emphasize the vibrancy of your present dominion. Your past does not contradict this new estate. It authenticates it. Those seasons of shortage forged discernment, endurance, and compassion, qualities now inseparable from your financial ascent. You are licensed to prosper not merely for yourself, but as a distribution hub for everyone whose destiny intersects yours. Imagine whole communities awakening because your breakthrough funds, incubators, scholarships, and relief initiatives that outlive headlines. Picture artisans sourcing materials without compromise, scientists pushing boundaries free from grant anxiety, and parents sleeping soundly because tuition is already handled, all traced back to your single decision to believe in the magnitude assigned to you. This is how your private affirmation becomes a public renaissance. Do not shrink to fit the dimensions of yesterday's projections. Expansion is your resting state. You will catch yourself strategizing in square footage rather than square meters, in international portfolios instead of local accounts. That is not arrogance. It is obedience to a calling inscribed deeper than ego. The architecture of your future is drafted on sheets too large for any one desk, so heaven hands you warehouses of provision to unroll the blueprints. Your intuition is attuned to emerging sectors, decentralized finance, green technology, sustainable agribusiness, intellectual property futures. Where others observe risk, you detect untapped inheritance. You negotiate from a seat reserved for those who understand timing, momentum, and purpose braided together. Data is your ally, yet revelation outruns every algorithm. When markets wobble, you remain unshaken because you planted your confidence beyond human indices. Even solitude will feel different now. In the quiet, you will hear vault doors swinging within realms most never visit. You will receive coordinates in dreams, addresses, ticker symbols, or faces to call, each one a puzzle piece that slots effortlessly into the mosaic of your dominion. Keep a journal by your bed. Sunrise may greet you with blueprints for ventures that require new categories to be invented. Resources recognize stewardship, and they are converging on you because they perceive flawless stewardship ahead. You will not hoard, you will channel. Money enjoys motion when guided by vision, and your vision sketches highways of impact that stretch beyond geography. Supply prefers velocity, so it travels closest to those who distribute without reluctance. You will stand at the intersection of increase and intention, redirecting torrents of finance toward healing, innovation, and artistic brilliance. See contracts arriving unburdened by fine print that exploits. Instead, clauses honor dignity, sustainability, and shared upside. The entrepreneurs drawn to you will discover that your mentorship adds intangible equity, confidence, clarity, and courage to their balance sheets. Banks will court you, but you will court ideas that democratize opportunity, ensuring no dreamer is excluded for lack of collateral. Notice how problems transform into proposals the moment they reach your desk. Deficits morph into prototypes. Shortages rebirth as enterprises with triple bottom-line returns: profit, people, planet. Even adversity pays you consultation fees because every obstacle unearths strategies you later license to others. The calendar once dictated fiscal quarters. Now, your internal seasons supersede any man-made timetable. Revenue spikes follow the cadence of revelation, not the predictability of charts. End-of-year summaries will struggle to capture the exponential leaps occurring monthly, weekly, daily. Auditors will require larger spreadsheets. Analysts will invent new terminology to describe the phenomenon of influence-driven yield. Reflect on the moments you almost resigned from the journey. Recognize how those crossroads sharpened your resolve so thoroughly that doubt can no longer breach your perimeter. The resignations you drafted in frustration have been repurposed into letters of acceptance for grants, awards, and honors previously stationed out of reach. Halls of fame, once reserved for an elite few, widen their corridors because your narrative demands more shelf space than their current displays allow. Your speech is an asset class. Utterances vibrate at frequencies that negotiate debt down to zero and raise capital by sheer conviction. Investors will recall your words verbatim, citing them as primary reasons they signed seven-figure checks. Lecterns, podcasts, and boardrooms will amplify your cadence until it becomes the soundtrack of a generation reorienting itself toward ethical prosperity. Philanthropy is no afterthought. It is embedded from line one of every budget. You will seed ventures that outlaw poverty in zip codes often ignored, yet you will also design ecosystems where wealth cycles internally so empowerment endures beyond charity's expiration. Legacy becomes tangible, a living organism multiplying long after you exit a room. Children not yet born will feel the tremor of your generosity in their tuition statements and their medical breakthroughs. Contemplate the currencies invisible to wallets: respect, serenity, influence, and time freedom. These too now obey your governance. Meetings conclude on schedule because every participant senses heightened purpose. Travel upgrades itself because destiny insists on your comfort without apology. Moments of rest are protected by invisible guardians, ensuring that phone calls hold until the recharge is complete. Balance is not a myth, it is the baseline. Gateways once guarded by elitism short-circuit in your presence. Credentials swell on your resume overnight, not through deceit, but through accelerated mastery. When you read, comprehension fuses instantly with application. When you listen, integration follows at lightning pace. This efficiency attracts mentors thrilled to deposit their rarest insights in soil they deem fertile. Expect to mentor nations while still sipping morning coffee. Governments will request policy consultations after witnessing microeconomic miracles in communities you touched. Disaster zones will invite you before the rubble cools because your frameworks convert crisis into corridors for regeneration. International organizations will rephrase their mission statements to align with your articulation of dignified abundance. Wealth in your stewardship becomes artistry, architecture interlacing culture, environment, and invention. Structures financed by your overflow will marry sunlight and skyline in ways that inspire city planners to mimic your blueprint. Renewable energy startups you fund will lower carbon footprints so decisively that textbooks will reference your portfolio in chapters on turning points. Savor the new sensation. Invoices stamped paid in full. Yes, but more so the internal invoice once carried by your heart, the debt of self-doubt, now satisfied forever. Confidence is no longer borrowed from future victories. It is credited instantly the moment you decide to move. As horizons expand, so does discernment. When counterfeit partnerships whisper promises, your inner radar lights crimson and reroutes your steps before damage accrues. Intuition and data dance in perfect choreography, revealing both pitfalls and scenic shortcuts. Detours become tours of discovery, adding scenic wisdom without delaying arrival. Celebrate, too, the subtle victories. A passerby whose ambitions reignite because your aura reminded them of potential. A family dinner upgraded spontaneously because you tipped a server beyond expectation. A student whose experiment reached orbit because your micro-grant became their launchpad. These ripples outlive headlines, populating eternity with testimonies of unrecorded kindness. And when night drapes the sky, the constellations themselves seem to rearrange, tracing graphs of upward trajectories in twinkling white ink. You stand beneath them, aware that cosmic artistry is reflecting the quiet certainty that every element, star, cell, opportunity, conspires to honor the dominion now entrusted to your hands. Continue walking in that certainty, for the journey ahead is a corridor of ever-expanding rooms, each unveiling greater vistas of impact and inexhaustible supply. You are no longer negotiating with life from a place of lack. You are creating from a reservoir that refills as fast as you pour. When you invest your energy, your focus, your presence, returns appear not just in monetary form, but in moments of alignment that can't be measured in dollars. Your decisions today send waves through unseen economies that multiply in directions you can't even track. The right people are finding you because the frequency you now operate on sends out a signal, one that only builders, visionaries, and high-frequency givers can detect. No more explanations. No more trying to convince those not aligned. Your presence alone confirms the value. You're walking into rooms where questions turn into contracts and ideas evolve into blueprints. Everything begins to click because the dominion you carry now speaks louder than your words. This shift is not fragile, it's not temporary, it's not conditional. It's been ordained by design, by timing, by the combination of everything you've survived and everything you dared to believe anyway. What you once saw as delays were actually divine detours that allowed you to mature into the leader required to hold this level of wealth. Not just financially, but energetically, emotionally, spiritually. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. Now, as you rise, you no longer chase money. You attract purpose. You don't beg for collaboration. You command excellence through your character. You don't just manifest, you magnetize. Because financial dominion doesn't just come to those who want more. It comes to those who are ready to do more with it. And you, chosen one, are no longer waiting for the right opportunity. You are the opportunity. Notice how even the way you spend is changing. What used to be an expense becomes an investment. What used to feel like a loss now feels like a strategic exit. You are no longer emotionally attached to outcomes. You are rooted in alignment. And because of that, the universe responds in kind, faster, cleaner, with elegance. Every dollar that leaves your hand returns multiplied because it recognizes the soil you've become. People will ask, how did it all shift so quickly for you? And the truth is, it didn't. This wasn't sudden. This was stacked. Layer by layer, moment by moment, belief by belief. You made decisions to trust what you couldn't see, long before it became visible. You continued to show up when there was no applause. You continued to learn while others settled. You sharpened your gift when there was no audience. And now that the lights are on, all of it shows. But this stage isn't just about you. Financial dominion is shifting to your hands because what you hold, you share. You lift others while building your own. You collaborate without competition. You give without shrinking. And because of that, you become a lighthouse in industries that have long gone dark. You restore faith in what business can be: ethical, expansive, empowering. You will notice that your pace is increasing, but your peace is not decreasing. In fact, it's growing, because real wealth moves at the speed of peace. This means deals flow smoother, partners show up prepared, conversations lead to conversions without pressure. You no longer need to force success, it flows through you. Even your silence speaks volumes now. You don't need to prove yourself anymore. Your fruits are doing all the talking. Your actions are speaking on stages your mouth has never stepped on. And it's not arrogance, it's evidence. You are not above anyone, but you've risen above what no longer serves your purpose. And in doing so, you've cleared the runway for takeoff. What's coming next will require less hustle and more harmony. It will require less convincing and more receiving. You're becoming a magnet for support because your mission is clear and your energy is unshakable. And because of that, the capital, the clients, the connections, they're all finding their way to you without the need for chasing. Your workspace becomes a sanctuary. Your meetings feel like masterminds. Your brainstorm sessions produce movements. What you touch multiplies. What you speak begins to shape reality. You will see how what once felt like struggle becomes your superpower in rooms that never knew your name before. And now they do, and they won't forget it. You will stop saying, "one day," and start saying, "it's already here." Your vocabulary has changed. You're not hoping anymore, you're executing. You're not waiting, you're walking. And as you move, the ground beneath you adjusts. Paths form where there were none. Elevators rise when you walk in the building. Tables expand to make room for your blueprint. There's no pressure to explain your new flow. You've done enough talking. Now, you show. You lead by embodiment. And those who are ready will follow. Not because you pushed, but because you pulled something out of them they forgot was inside. And here's the best part. You don't need to do it all. Dominion doesn't mean burnout. It means discernment. You are learning to delegate with trust, automate with excellence, and rest without guilt. Your value isn't measured in hours, it's measured in impact. You are not a machine. You are a miracle in motion. You are not a worker. You are a weaver of realities. And money now knows your name because your mission is finally loud enough to reach it. From this moment forward, never again underestimate your capacity to shift entire financial ecosystems. Never again belittle your ability to lead industries, innovate models, and set new standards. You are not here to fit in. You are here to redesign. What once felt too big for you is now waiting for you to claim it. Your timeline is accelerating. Your resources are unlocking. And your voice, it's being requested on stages you once watched in silence. Breathe into that. Pause and realize. You are no longer waiting for a blessing. You are the shift that blessings chase now. You are what alignment looks like in human form. And as this dominion flows to you, remember, it's not just for you, it's through you. For families, for generations, for strangers you'll never meet, but who will live better because you dared to believe in the possibility of more and had the courage to receive it fully. You will create solutions before problems even exist. You will birth innovations that reshape how people think about money, freedom, and life. Your brand becomes more than a business. It becomes a belief system that others organize their dreams around. This is not hype. This is not luck. This is not theory. This is what happens when financial dominion shifts into the hands of a soul who knows exactly what to do with it. Every decision you make now carries exponential weight, not just because of what it affects, but because of who you are becoming. The energy of your choices echoes far beyond your current environment. You are not just managing money anymore, you are directing movements. When you decide to back a vision, it becomes visible to others. When you speak about a new system or a strategy, it becomes mainstream. You are not just in the conversation, you are the conversation. You will begin to notice that things align before you even ask. Someone else will mention your name in rooms where the solution is being discussed. And without knowing all the details, they will trust you because your essence now broadcasts reliability. You've earned that trust in silence. You've paid the invisible cost of consistency. And now, the universe pays it back with compound favor. You are no longer reacting to life. You are designing it. You are not waiting for instructions. You are writing them. You are not adjusting to the economy. You are shaping it. You are not simply surviving change. You are initiating it. Meetings with you are becoming moments people don't forget. There is clarity in your presence, and it moves others. When you speak, hesitation dissolves. When you pause, others listen for the next key. Your presence carries codes that decode stuck places in people's lives, and you don't even need to try hard. You are the example they've been looking for. Your brand now glows with deeper substance. Not flashy, not forced, but undeniable. You don't have to raise your volume. Your frequency is enough. People can feel it in your energy, in your work, in the excellence you carry into the room. Everything you touch starts to elevate. You are the reason standards are rising quietly around the people near you. They can't explain it, but they feel it, and they want to meet that level. There is no longer any internal contradiction about your worth. The conflict between "can I have this" and "do I deserve this" is over. You now understand. You are the vessel, and this dominion is part of your assignment. You were not made to barely make it. You were not designed to scrape by while carrying kingdoms in your mind. The resources that match your destiny have no choice but to align. You've stepped into agreement with the version of yourself that doesn't play small. Notice how you're no longer surprised by good news. You expect it. You make room for it. You prepare systems to handle overflow, not emergency. You are not reacting. You are hosting abundance with wisdom, with elegance, with full alignment. And that's why the floodgates don't scare you anymore. You've built a foundation strong enough to hold what's coming. And yes, it's still just beginning. You've only tasted a fraction of what your life is about to become. The acceleration you feel is real, and it's not just in your imagination. Doors are opening because you now walk like someone who belongs inside. You've stopped knocking. You're designing new doors entirely. You'll begin to see how others lean in, watching not just what you say, but how you move. Your silence speaks volumes. Your restraint is respected. Your timing becomes the trusted rhythm others want to follow. You are not rushing, but you are not idle either. You are synchronized with an internal GPS that never leads you wrong. And when others ask, "How are you always so aligned?" you'll know it wasn't luck. It was alignment with your higher vision. You stopped outsourcing your power. You reclaimed your narrative. You chose to let your vision be louder than your fear. And because of that, you now occupy a frequency where resources are loyal to you. Money responds to clarity, and you are clearer than ever. Not just about what you want, but about what you will not accept. That kind of clarity repels chaos. It blocks distraction. It eliminates detours. You are walking directly toward your wealth, and your wealth is walking directly toward you. You are building structures that last. Long after you've left the meeting, the impact remains. Long after you've signed the deal, The integrity of your name still resonates. You're not after fast wins, you're after legacy. That's why this dominion is real. That's why it's sustainable. Because it's not performative, it's embodied. Now, you create like a master. You lead like a force. You give like a well that never runs dry. And you receive, not with guilt, but with grace. You are not ashamed of overflow anymore. You are not apologizing for favor. You are not dumbing down your design to make others comfortable. You are becoming fluent in the language of impact. You can translate a need into an opportunity. You can see past the panic into the pattern. You're able to hold the big picture while managing the next detail. You are the bridge between impossible and inevitable. And that's why everything you touch now feels guided, because it is. What others call risky, you now call necessary. What others call too ambitious, you call overdue. You no longer wait for validation. You no longer fear rejection. You no longer mistake delay for denial. You know how to sit in silence without shrinking. You know how to plant in hidden seasons. And now, you know how to harvest. This is your harvest. This is your time. You've crossed the line between wishing and walking. Now everything in your life is recalibrating to match your decision. Your team is assembling. Your platform is expanding. Your capacity is growing. And you are more grounded than ever. The higher you go, the deeper you root. You're not floating. You're flying with foundation. And that is the rarest kind of flight. Even as you grow in influence, you remain centered. Even as wealth multiplies, your character remains your anchor. And that is why doors will continue to open for you. Not because of what you have, but because of who you are. And who you are is undeniable. You've arrived at a place where your presence alone shifts the dynamic of a room. Not because you demand attention, but because you command it through frequency, not volume, through substance, not spectacle. You have become the evidence of what alignment with divine timing, financial intelligence, and unshakable vision can produce. And now you move with ease, because resistance no longer lives in your body. You've restructured your identity. You no longer walk around carrying the labels that limited your past. You are no longer living in survival mode. You're operating in vision mode, expansion mode, excellence mode. Your decisions are no longer born from desperation. They come from depth. You're no longer asking, "Can I afford this?" But "Is this aligned with where I'm going?" And if the answer is yes, you move decisively, calmly, and without hesitation. You've realized that wealth is not about accumulation. It's about circulation. It's about stewardship. It's about intentional placement of energy and resources to create multiplication, not only for yourself, but for everyone connected to your vision. The people around you now feel safer, more inspired, more expansive, because your energy tells the truth. There is enough for all of us. You are attracting collaborators, not competitors, allies, not opportunists. You are magnetizing the kind of people who respect time, value integrity, and move with vision. These are not ordinary relationships. They are divine alignments, designed to take your mission to heights you were never meant to climb alone. Together, you'll move mountains. Together, you'll design realities. Together, you'll prove that wealth can be holy, powerful, healing, and purposeful. Your calendar is now sacred territory. Every appointment, every message, every meeting must earn its place. You no longer respond out of obligation. You no longer chase after recognition. Your time is not up for grabs. It's curated with precision, because you finally understand that time is not just money, it's impact. And the money? It's multiplying without needing your anxiety as fuel. You've removed the emotional tax from your finances. Money no longer rules your nervous system. It no longer dictates your mood. Now, it responds to your peace. It follows your leadership. It organizes itself according to the clarity of your intention. When you speak of your projects, people feel the pulse of something alive. When you describe your next move, it doesn't sound like fantasy. It sounds like strategy. Because you don't just have ideas, you have infrastructure. You've built the systems. You've done the internal work. You've cleared the clutter. And now manifestation is simply a byproduct of your preparation. Your ideas are no longer floating dreams. They are becoming blueprints. Your visions are not someday fantasies. They are scheduled realities. You don't just dream, you execute. You show up with drafts, with plans, with strategy decks, with structured insight. You are the rare combination of imagination and implementation. That's why investors trust you. That's why platforms are making space for you. That's why your reputation is outperforming your resume. Even your doubts are different now. You don't doubt whether you're worthy. You ask whether this move is the most aligned. You don't second-guess your calling. You refine your method. You don't spiral. You pause, you breathe, and then you respond from power. That's maturity. That's evolution. That's financial dominion with emotional intelligence. And it's rare. You've become a sanctuary for solutions. People feel their visions clarified when they speak with you. You don't fix people. You ignite them. You don't rescue people. You remind them of their own strength. And because of that, your leadership doesn't breed dependency, it multiplies leaders. This is legacy building. And you're doing it quietly, elegantly, without theatrics. You're not screaming for attention. You're architecting systems in silence that will echo louder than any performance ever could. One day, people will look at your work and say, "Where did this come from?" And the answer will be simple. It came from alignment, consistency, and knowing exactly who you are. The tables have turned, not out of revenge, but out of rightful repositioning. The stage has expanded, not to inflate your ego, but to match your capacity. And as your audience grows, your humility stays rooted. You know this is bigger than you. You know this is not about fame. It's about function. You are a vessel, a portal, a delivery system for something greater. That's why everything is flowing now. You've surrendered to the role you were always meant to play. And because you've surrendered, you no longer carry the weight. The burden is gone. You delegate what you used to obsess over. You rest when you used to overthink. You simplify what you used to overcomplicate. You have nothing to prove, only purpose to fulfill. The numbers in your bank account are rising, yes, but what's more beautiful is the number of people you're lifting, the number of spaces you're transforming, the number of futures you're empowering. Wealth is no longer a trophy. It's a tool, a language, a frequency, a mirror that reflects the magnitude of your inner world. And with each transaction, each decision, each offering, you are sending a signal into the collective. It's possible to rise and still be rooted. It's possible to lead without ego. It's possible to earn without exploitation. It's possible to live in overflow without losing your soul. You've redefined what success looks like for yourself, for your lineage, for your community, for the world, and you're just getting started. Everything has led you to this exact moment. Not a second too early, not a breath too late. The shifts you've been sensing weren't imagination, they were confirmation. The elevation you've been quietly preparing for is now undeniable. Financial dominion has shifted into your hands, not by accident, not by luck, but by alignment. And now that you carry it, you no longer fear losing it. Because this isn't a gift given to impress, it's a responsibility designed to bless. You've reached the point where wealth is no longer the goal. It's the outcome. It's the natural result of integrity, strategy, vision, and trust working together. You no longer wait for the world to approve your moves. You understand your power isn't up for negotiation. It is lived, expressed, and honored. There's a calmness in your spirit now, even as everything expands. You're no longer shaken by delays, no longer distracted by noise, no longer baited by urgency. You've mastered the art of pacing yourself with purpose. Because you know, when you are aligned, timing bends in your favor. People arrive exactly when you need them. Funds appear exactly when the project is ready. Ideas show up right before the opportunity knocks. You're living in synchronicity. You've become a magnet for aligned wealth. And from this place of power, you create effortlessly. You don't chase clients. They come with clarity. You don't beg for opportunities. They land in your inbox. You no longer feel pressure to prove yourself. Your results, your peace, your consistency, they speak loudly, without ego, without explanation, with presence. Everything around you is organizing itself to reflect your internal order. Systems align, support arrives, outcomes flow. You've stopped doubting your power, and because of that, your power has become constant. It's not about hype, it's not about peaks, it's about stability, quiet dominance, ongoing expansion. Your inner circle reflects your new frequency. You are surrounded by people who don't drain you. They duplicate your focus. You're no longer trying to teach people your value. They already see it. The people in your life now invest in you energetically, intellectually, spiritually, and financially, and you return it tenfold. Because your world is no longer transactional, it's transformational. You've entered a new chapter where alignment is your compass. If it doesn't nourish your vision, it's not entertained. If it doesn't bring clarity, it's released without drama. If it doesn't multiply peace, it doesn't make the list. Your boundaries are no longer a defense mechanism, they are a declaration of identity. And from this identity flows all your abundance, your magnetism, your momentum, your miracles. You have become the example of what is possible when someone chooses to show up fully, when someone chooses to keep building even when it's hard, when someone chooses to lead from soul, not from scarcity. You've rewritten what wealth looks like, feels like, sounds like, acts like. You are not afraid to be seen anymore, not afraid to be heard, not afraid to receive, because you know now, deep in your bones, that you are not taking up too much space. You are the space, the invitation, the answer, the frequency others have been waiting to tune into. And you own that with grace. So what happens now? You keep walking, with vision, with clarity, with focus. You keep building, with elegance, with power, with boundaries. You keep receiving, with ease, with trust, with faith. You keep giving, from overflow, from wisdom, from love. You keep rising, not to escape, but to expand, to elevate, to anchor abundance in places that have never felt it before. Because when financial dominion shifts to your hands, it's not just about your bank account, it's about what your presence will fund, what your ideas will unlock, what your influence will spark, what your ripple will reach. You are the chosen one, not because it's easy, but because it's right, because you were made for this. You are walking in your power now, not as an act, but as a lifestyle, not as a moment, but as a movement, not as a dream, but as a destiny finally unfolding. So let the world adjust. Let the systems respond. Let the doors open. Let the abundance flow. It's all real now, and it's all yours. You are ready, and it's already happening.